Welcome to Beta by the Numbers. I'm FM Tahiti, and I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining me. In this episode, probably just going to play the one match. So I think I said in the last episode we're going to play two, but lied to you there. Not intentionally. We've got Banbridge and Turbomore coming up. We'll probably just play the Banbridge match because if we look at the schedule, after the Turbo match, we've got the final of the Steel and Sons Cup against Ballyclare, so we'll come back for that as its own match for our first final. What I'm going to do in this episode is I'm just going to go through some analysis of where we are so far, using the match views to spot a few issues if there are any issues, and also looking at the tactic analysis, which is a separate page we've not used yet, to see if there's any issues I can spot there. I think in the last episode I did was when we were in the semi-finals of Steels and Sun Cup, so we won. Then we lost 4-1 to Newry City in the Intermediate Cup. They are in the division above us. We weren't in this at all. We were never going to win it, but the board don't really care about the Intermediate Cup, which is good because neither do we, so we can move on from that one. Port Stewart we drew with in the league. We should have done better than that, to be honest. Distillery we drew against. That was pretty tight. I think we probably just edged it, but still a draw. And then we beat Port Stewart again. I say again, we beat them after playing them again 3-2 in the Irish Cup fourth round, which is good because now we're overperforming in that cup, and you can see that in the kind of club vision bit here. So we're only meant to be competitive, which for them I think meant the fourth round. It's on a separate page, isn't it? Yeah, but it meant the fourth round, so we're into the fifth, so they're happy with that. So overall, pretty happy with what we're doing. We have done a coaching badge as well. Don't remember getting the news item saying I completed it, but apparently we have done one. Still studying. Clearly we're thick. Done the course, still studying. So that's where we are club vision wise. If you look at the league as well, 11 games played out, 22, 17 points. We're about 3 away from a promotion or playoff spot, so we're not out of contention for it. We're outperforming ourselves in terms of what was expected for a newly promoted side. So that's all good, but we can be better. And I think if you look at the schedule, you can see there's been a bit of a drop in form recently, and this partly lines up with a change in personnel. And that's Warwick, our winger, getting injured and us having to shift players over to try and deal with it. But also, Jordan Tate, if you look at the squad view here, this striker was moaning about not starting. So he's had a run of about 7 games now, where we've given him a start and all he's managed 2 goals, 1 assist. I think he's going to get dropped pretty soon. Got extra subs on there because we were playing in the Cup. So what we're going to look at first is this squad view. See, is there anything going on player-wise that we need to consider? Anyone getting overlooked? Anyone who's more important, who's been benched and shouldn't have been? And it's a bit overwhelming. What I'd like to do at the end of this season is look at this in more depth, get a spreadsheet out and have a look at that. But for the moment, I just want a quick look at a few key things. So one of the things we've got here, as a quick check, is points won per game. So the higher this is, the more this player is involved with our winning games, essentially. And over the course of the season, it can give you a rough indication of how important they are, or whether they're a weak link or not. It depends on a whole host of factors, but it's something to give you a quick look. And one of the things notice here, the top 3, or with 2 points won on average or more per game, the kind of point total we really want. Gary Warwick, who's been out injured, who's the one I mentioned before. Darragh Murphy, who we actually benched for Ben Mitchell, who is now getting a lot of stick from the fans. And Stephen Duff, the striker we started off with, who we benched in favour of Jordan Tate. So I'm already thinking Gary Warwick's got to come back in the side when he's fit. Darragh Murphy we're going to bring on actually probably for Ben Mitchell. We'll have a look at a few other things first. And Stephen Duff I think we're going to have on instead of Tate. Although in the last match we played, we put Philip Cowan on, a youth player, and he did score quite a nice goal. So those 3 might be back in contention just by games won. Let's look at a few of the key stats. So things like headers won per 90 because we want to play quite an aerial game. Top 3 with 4 or more. Conor McCall, centre back's doing well. Jordan Tate, who's actually probably quite good in the air even though he's not producing. And Philip Cowan, who's only really played 1 match for us but managed to get more an average there, but remember this is per 90. So he's only got 190, so he's probably not the most representative. If we look over here at, say, key tackles, and this is just key tackles. Actually, no, before key tackles, look at aerial attempts, aerial challenge attempts per 90. In the top 3 with 7 or more, Noel McManus, Jordan Tate, Philip Cowan. So Philip Cowan and Jordan Tate have demonstrated actually they might be quite good aerially for us, even though he's only got 4 for heading and 8 for jumping reach. He actually seems to be doing alright in the challenge, or at least attempting. Likewise, 6 and an 8 for Philip Cowan, but in that one match he seemed to do quite well, but will not get overwhelmed by his one match performance. Look at interceptions again, just looking defensively for the most interceptions. So the top 5, we say 2 interceptions per 90 or more. But Mullihan, who's good at left back, Warwick, who's going to get put back in, Connor McCall, Jamil, and then Gareth Clark is this youth right back who we started bringing in. He's from Crusaders, I think it was. No, Linfield. He's the Linfield youth. This is one who our coaches think might actually be Premiership quality. Northern Irish Premiership. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And actually, his mental attributes and physical attributes are pretty good. 1.9 points per game for the ones he has played. He's only been involved in a few. 5 aerial challenges. Just shy of 4 headers won. 2.5 interceptions per 90. He's actually pretty solid. If we look at some of the other attributes, stats as well, key tackles. He had about 2 key tackles as well, I think. So he's top there with McCall, Mitchell, and Ewa. So maybe we start to bring him in and rotate him for Jamil, because Jamil's also getting stick from the terraces for not being very good. I've defended him once, and then he scored that own goal we recorded, which is pretty bad. Let's look at key passes then. Or I should say key passes per 90, that's the most useful one. So top 2 with just over 2. We've got Mullihan, the left back, and that left winger Warwick. So when Warwick comes in, it's going to be pretty useful. But then as we go down, 3rd place, Gareth Clark. So Gareth Clark looks like he needs a bit of a run in there. If we look generally more creatively, so let's look at, say, assists. There's not as many assists per 90. So the highest one is like half an assist per 90, and then 0.35. Warwick. And then Higginson, who's come in to cover the kind of general shift in midfield. And then Lamb, our right midfielder. And interesting, and then Stephen Duff taking up 4th place there. So Duff should probably come in. Warwick's obviously key to the team. Definitely been feeling it. And I'm not too worried about shots on target or shot percentage or shots on target per 90 per se. But let's have a quick look anyway. So 4, Philip Cowan, he had that one really good match. Going down for the next 3 where they've all got 2 or more. You've got Arbuthnot, McManus and Hughes, and Tate's down here. So actually, Arbuthnot and I think Stephen Duff should really go above Jordan Tate in the pecking order. So I think we're going to have to move him along. So I think if we go back and just look at this positionally, there's a few things we're going to make, a few changes we're going to make. So Gareth Clarkson start. He was in the last match. We'll do that. Ben Mitchell is going to be swapped in for Darragh Murphy. We're going to bring Stephen Duff on. And then let's put Cowan on the bench as that striking option, because we'll give him a couple more games to see whether he can keep this average up or not. Warwick's not ready to come back, but soon he will do. So we've made a few positional changes based on that. Let's look at what we've got in the tactics kind of analysis. So you just go to tactics analysis up here. If you've never used it before, you've got lots of general match feedback and you've got suggestions you can put in place. But I'm going to ignore those and go to goals. And you've got different types. You've got analysis of when you're scoring goals and when you're conceding them, types of goals, types of assists, how many clear-cut chances being created and conceded. You can do it for all competitions or just domestic and so on. You can change the amount of matches, so you can actually use it to narrow the window down depending on when you've made a tactical change, for example. But I'm just going to use all of them because we have had a few tactical changes, but not huge ones just yet. I'm not too bothered about goal times currently because they're reasonably well spread for us. Green bar wise, they're reasonably widespread. We just score as many in the end, which is fair enough. Goal types, this is where you need to treat it with a pinch of salt. So apparently we scored 36 place shots, 8 powerful shots. Apparently we've also scored 6 overhead kicks. That's not true. I don't think we've scored one. I don't even think we've conceded one. I think it's counting something incorrectly. I don't think what is considered to be an overhead kick actually is an overhead kick. In fact, I should probably just report this as a bug, but this is something that was in FM19 as well. You'd get this report of these overhead kicks, and they're not. They might be volleys, they might be maybe a scissor kick or something like that at best. I'm pretty sure I remember them as well. But they're not overhead kicks. No bicycle kicks have been seen. About 11 headers, but remember, we'll treat this with a pinch of salt. If we go to the goal assist types there, this is probably more useful for us trying to work out where the assists are coming from. So we can change the assist location a bit on here. And what type. So we've got 5 from corners, which means I think our corner routine is okay. We've played, this is across 27 matches, including friendlies. So actually 5's probably a bit low. We might want to tweak our routine. I won't do it this episode, but I will try and tweak it later on. Only 1 from free kicks, that's fine. 8 from short passes, 20 from crosses. So we are getting quite involved in that kind of wing play, but I'm fine with that. It's going through to a target man. And also I think it's counting crosses from quite deep as well. So things we might consider to be a bit more of a kind of through ball or a long pass, I think it is counting as a cross. Nothing direct from the throw-in yet, but it has caused a bit of mayhem. Interestingly, nothing from a long ball, but 11 from a through ball. So I think the difference for FM between a through ball and a long ball is a through ball is a pass in the opposition's half that beats one line of defence. I think that's basically how they count it. Whereas a long ball would be something that might beat the entire team, it might be completely through, or it might be from your own half. I think it's probably from your own half. But obviously when we look at this here, there is a little bit of a... So where it says 8 includes assists from your own half. So apparently there have been 8 assists from just by the centre circle or in their own half. If there are any from the... I guess it could just be that there aren't any from long balls from our own half. It has just been 8 from deep in here, which would then make them potentially through balls as well. So not enough long balls, and we could up the through balls. Crosses, kind of on point, perfectly fine with that. So that's one of the things we might look at. So if we look at the tactics now, we're going to make a few changes. So you remember in possession we made a few changes here. So we changed the kind of attacking width slightly. I'm perfectly fine with that. We're not going to mess around passing to play, but if we ever get faster strikers, it's something we might want to consider. We're hitting early crosses, that's all fine. In transition, we're going for long kicks over the opposition defence. I'm avoiding going for the counter press, because even though I know it's actually quite useful, I think it'll also just knacker the team, so we're not going to bother with that. And I'm going to keep this roughly as it is, because defensively we're not doing too badly. We might just put the urgency pressing up when we actually start pressing. That's one thing we'll do. Take the instructions off, we're going to change some player roles essentially. So Higginson here is in a box-to-box midfielder position. And what I've been finding in the matches, you might have noticed in some of the recordings, is that there's a lot of kind of 1-2s going on in this area of the pitch between Higginson and Hines, or whoever's playing in the central midfield positions, and the strikers. They're kind of knocking it about, and there's some good little passes in there, but what I kind of want to avoid is these players being on the edge of the box and the ball getting cut back to them and them going for a long shot. I don't like them doing that. I'd rather have them back here being more kind of supported, playing more long balls or through balls. So I think we're going to get rid of box-to-box midfielder as an instruction, and go for something, because we don't want them to be at the end of crosses and pullbacks. We don't need them to be doing that really. We don't need another ball-winning midfielder. We don't need a playmaker, I don't think, unless they're deep lying. So actually I think it might have to be a deep line playmaker. So operating in space between the defence and the field, and attacking moves by pinpoint passes. On defence, let's just leave them on support for the moment. Let's just do that. Look at their instructions. They're on tackle harder. Can't seem to change this. They're taking more risks already. We're going to get them to dribble less. Tackle harder is on. And that should be fine. We'll try that instead. So it's just a bit of a tweak, so we don't get them pushing up there as much. Maybe they'll play a few more balls through. So we're going to go with that. So let's play this match. I think you see now why I don't want to try and fit 2 matches into this, because we're just running massively out of time. I'm trying to keep it down to about 20 minutes per episode to make them a bit more manageable. Here we go. Banbridge should ideally be beating them. Just for kind of context, it's bonfire night whilst I'm recording this. It won't be by the time it goes out. We're getting very close to the actual release date of FM properly. And I think I said before, unless there's some kind of game breaking bug, I'm going to probably carry on with this save. Hopefully, anyway. Come on, long throw in by Clark. Interesting. A bit more dangerous than it has been in the past. Go on, Lynch. See, Higginson's still there on the edge of the box, but I guess that was from period of set pieces. It's a bit different. He'll be pushed into a different position for that. Mulland. It's only 13 minutes in. I was going to say Duff's been quiet, but actually there's not been that much time for him to do anything. Oh, back across, and there he is. Oh, disallowed. That was a little bit better. A longish ball. But definitely in our own half. Don't need to see that again. We know that was offside. That was a poor pass by Higginson. Good job McCall was there to deal with that. Go on. See? Higginson, ball through. Smacked against the upright. That's more what I want to see from Higginson. Or whoever's in that position, because it's not going to be Higginson for the rest of the season. He's just on loan. I think the moment Warwick comes back, then Lynch will swap over to where Higginson is. And Higginson will be back on the bench. Not because he's particularly bad, it's just I think Lynch is better. And Warwick's definitely better than Lynch in that position. Come on, Hughes, pump those legs. He's just not fast enough. I think already thinking for next season, I need a faster target man than Hughes, which sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Fast target man, but he's not getting in the balls he should do. But he is smacking them against the bar on a regular basis. 5 shots there too. Starting to edge this one. Higginson's are getting a good rating. He's taking to that deep lying playmaker role. Be interesting to see how he does over the next few games. Thought Hughes was going to nod it across the face of goal, then go on Hines. Higginson. Duff giving it a go as well. I think might bring Duff off at half time and put Cowan on. Both young strikers. I'm going to give them both an opportunity to kind of stake a claim. In the long run, it's not going to be Tate. I'm going to get rid of Tate at the end of the season at the very latest. I could release him earlier if I wanted to. I will do if he starts causing trouble, but he's just not. He's there basically as a backup for a horrendous injury crisis if there is one there. Clark's doing alright. Pretty solid. We're keeping hold of the ball alright. There we go. That's a nice ball in. Feeling a little bit happier with how the actual tactics working now. It is only half a match though, so obviously I can't get ahead of myself. I'll need a bit more data before we actually analyse it properly. Let's bring on Cowan for Duff. Duff did get that disallowed goal, so he's getting in position, but he is still a bit rusty. Oh, go on, Lynch. Bit weird we went that wide, but okay. On Clark. Cross Lamb. Go on, Hughes. Oh, come on. Hughes should have a goal by now. He's had enough opportunities. I think the problem with Hughes as well is he's just... Ooh, cross the goal. He's just good enough to not drop. Like, he's got about 10-ish goals or something like that across all competitions, which is more than anyone else in the team has got. So he's too good for us to just kind of dump, because it's a bit of a risk. Look on long. On, take it back, turn it into our highlight. Oh, Clark. I thought it was a little bit soft. I mean, clearly to go down, but... Come on. Yeah, straight down the line. Undeserved by Banbridge. It's going to be one of those matches, isn't it, where afterwards, if anyone asks how you feel about it, you just have to say you're proud with the performance and the way the tactic was working, not the score. Gibbons managing to get that one away. Made a bit of a meal of it. Bring on Noel McManus. And anyone else? Mitchell for Hines. I think Clark's doing well enough to play the full 90, even though he's just given away that penalty. I think it's a little bit harsh. Interesting. Go on, Cowan. Hopeful ball. Oh, Cowan had that then. Interesting. 14 shots to their 8. Possession's about even. Mullihan's not playing that well, apparently. We do have someone who can play left back as well to give him a rest if we needed to, but he's so integral that we just want to keep him in, even though he's having a bad game apparently here. Oh, on the counter. Well saved. And I think that's it. I think we've lost despite our tactical trickery. I don't think it was a losing performance. Still might be time for a goal. No, they're doing their 1-2s, which is really irritating me now. Oh, that looked promising. For a brief second, it looked like we might be able to get a shot away. Go on, corner. Oh, Hughes. Massively blasted over with his head there. Okay, 1-0. That's... I was going to say it's fine. It's not fine, but it's very different, you know, losing when you're playing well to losing when you've just put in an absolutely bap performance. So we've done alright. Again, it's still not out of our reach, and even if it was out of our reach, it doesn't matter. We're not expected to win this, get promoted this season or anything. 10th is what we're expecting, so we're doing alright there. So we'll come back in the next episode for the cup final. Thanks very much. Ignore this. 5 without a win. Ignore it.